Good morning, good afternoon, and greetings to everyone, whoever are joining us for this conference from any part of this world. My name is Afshin Siddiqui, and I am managing the conference for EIMS 2021. It is my deep pleasure to welcome you all to the exciting next 2 days of the virtual show of Egypt International Mining Show. So without wasting any time, I would like to invite Tahir Abdul Bari, who is the Managing Director and CEO of TAB Group, the organizers. He developed this idea that we should do the mining event in Egypt because it is one of the most important things when Egypt is considered. So Tahir, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Afshin. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure for me to welcome you today for this Egypt International Mining Show, EIMS 2021. Well, I'm really honored to share with you today that we have over 600 senior mining professionals joining us from more than 25 countries around the world live today. And as I was speaking with Wen at the backstage, some of them are at the middle of night, around 1 in night. So I really appreciate that intent from everyone to be with us on this very important initiative. First of all, I would like to welcome our key supporting partner, the Gold Pyramid Group from Egypt. Mustafa Talal and his team, they have been instrumental in helping us in developing this initiative and idea. Our main sponsors, the gold sponsors, AKH Gold, Alta Strategies, Capital Limited, and MSA Labs, who have again been very supportive in making this happen. Our silver sponsors, Shalakani, Exploration Mapping, NIS Logistics, Tesibo, and Geodrill. I extend a very warm welcome to all the wonderful mining professionals and audiences who are joining us from different parts of the world today. The idea of this event, ladies and gentlemen, is to come together because of the recent developments in the market, where we have seen the emergence of sort of a new journey for the mining sector in Egypt. So we are here today to network with each other, connect with each other, find out the ways where we can collaborate, and we can, go on this journey of achieving excellence within the mining sector of Egypt. The platform on which we are doing this event, it has been very friendly. It's very smooth and easy to use. We'll play a very short demo for everyone so that they can quickly understand how this works. There are a lot of opportunities for people to network with each other. You can find out your co-event attendees, send messages to them, share business cards with each other, and make most out of this event. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I once again would like to extend a very warm welcome to every one of you, and I hope you enjoy your next 2 days with us. Afshin, could you please play the demo video for us? Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very quick demo of the event platform. The first thing you should do, and it's highly recommended, is to update your profile so that your co-event attendees can easily identify you and easily connect with you. Simply go to the right top corner, this icon of the screen, press it here and update your profile. Now, this is the stage area. This is where all the conference sessions are going to take place over the next 2 days. When a session is live, the button turns out to green. Simply press the button and you will land inside the conference area. So once you are inside the conference area, this screen here We'll have the expert speakers speaking live and discussing about their topic. You can ask questions simply by typing in here, and the host will take it to the speakers. The next is the lobby. Lobby is the area where you will see all the event attendees who are present at the event. So it's a wonderful way to get to know your co-event attendees, discuss with them, connect with them. So you can simply just find out the people who you want to connect with, and just either write a text message to them and ask them to meet you, or simply by pressing this icon here, you can share your business card. By the way, the business card is automatically generated based on the profile that you have updated. So all the information on your business card will get in here. So you can simply share your business card, request for a meeting, or you can directly initiate a video meeting with the person once you click on this button, and a notification will go to him. If he accepts your notification, both of you will be on a video call live on the screen. We have another very good opportunity for people to network when there are multiple people trying to meet together. So these are the launch tables. Up to 8 people can be discussing together in a video meeting. Simply grab a seat by pressing this button once you go inside, and you invite your other colleagues and partners to come in. So 8 of you would be together on the video screen. Seamless, you can do your video meeting with them. Now, this is the VIP area. This is where the VIP speakers and VIP delegates have their private meeting rooms. So you want to meet any of these colleagues, you simply, press the enter button. A notification will go to him. When he accepts your notification, you will land inside the meeting room, and both of you again will be on a video call together. If they're not available, simply again just type in a message for them, schedule a meeting or share your business card with them. Now, the most interesting feature about the platform is the booths. This is the place where all the exhibiting companies and their representatives would be available. So once you go to the booth icon and press the enter button, you will land inside the booth of the exhibiting company. You will also see a join friend desk or a join the booth button here once the event starts. So on clicking that button, a notification will go to the representative of the company that this gentleman wants to meet you, and you will most probably be here. And when they accept your notification, you again will be able to meet them. A video meeting will start with both of you. And for example, if they are not available, you simply, sort of drop in a message, share your business card and let them know that you wanted to meet them. So this is a wonderful way to, again, there could be possibility of multiple people meeting together, up to 8 people in one booth at a time. In case you face any technical errors with the platform, the easiest way to do is to go to the troubleshoot button, simply press the reboot, and everything will be rebooted for you. If you still have any other questions, or you would like to have some further help from our team, they are all available on the help desk. You can simply contact them. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, I wish you best of the event, and I hope you enjoy your next 2 days with us. Thank you very much.
This event are aware how to use this very friendly platform. Next, we will start with the presentations of our session 1. I would like to invite Mark Campbell, who is the chairman of AKH Gold Holdings Limited. He would talk about Egypt, the rebirth of gold in ancient land, the opportunities in the Egypt exploration and mining sector. Mark, now the stage is yours. Please unmute yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad that you all could be here, and for all of you who have had to get up very early in the morning, I appreciate your listening. I'm Mark Campbell. As Afshin said, I'm the chairman of AC Gold, and we are part of 100% owned by Altus Strategies. We have recently picked up areas in the first bid round. We're excited to be here. And if you'd like to find out more about us, we have a booth here where our team will be on hand to answer questions and give you more information about us. It's from Cairo here today. Of course, it's as usual, sunny and hot. And it's a good place to start with what I want to talk about, because Egypt has a bright future in mining. And it is a new and probably one of the most exciting exploration destinations in the world today. But in reality, it's not new. Egypt has been in the mining industry since the beginning of its history. It originated even in pre-dynastic times. And through the time of the pharaohs, through the Romans, the early Arabs, and right down to the British at the turn of the last century, Egypt has had an active mining industry, and gold being a principal component of this. Gold, of course, in ancient pharaonic times was a source of power and wealth. It was, of course, used in diplomacy. It was used in religion to honor the gods and to help the pharaohs along on their way in the afterlife, and in trade. And we see that even in the desert, eastern desert today, we find remnants of technology that originated with the Thracians. The Egyptians exported miners, much like the Cornish were in the 19th century, to other parts of the Mediterranean to help in excavation and in mining. So it was an important component of ancient Egypt. So why do I say it's new and exciting and it's a rebirth? Because historically, we have to look at what has occurred over history. Because the Egyptian mining industry today is shaped by that history. When the British came in the early 20th century, they realized that the potential in Egypt for not just gold, but other base metals, that they had an opportunity. And you could see this in the work that they did pre the First World War in mines like Sukari, like Semna, Baramaya, Serbakis, and also Fawkir. So, but then came along the First World War. Things fell off a bit. But Egypt, after the war, started to reinvigorate its industry. The 20s and 30s saw some great geologists here doing work like Hume and Bagnall. But then the Second World War followed, and right on its heels almost, the change in government in 1952. And then we get to the late 50s and the rise of oil with major discoveries by Amoco and Saccone Vacuum that basically turned Egypt into an oil destination, and mining and exploration all but died. And through the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, not a lot was done. And there was no real mining activity at all, except for phosphate and some other industrial minerals. In the early 80s, the government then shifted to going away from a royalty system and embraced the production sharing agreement that had been developed in the 70s to help emerging market countries be able to get more of the revenue from their oil wealth. And it was then instituted into the mining industry, that the mining industry would adopt the production sharing agreement. principally on the basis that it's an extractive industry, and so if it works for oil and gas, it'll work for mining. And of course, this did not take into account that although they're extractive, the economics of the industries couldn't be more different. It's a bit like trying to run British Airways using the economic model of Uber. They may be in transportation, but they certainly are not economically the same. So we come then to the late 80s, and what I call the pioneers of the modern era. And in the mid-80s, a company called Greenwich Resources, Minex, came. David Hall, many of you will know him, came to Egypt. They did some work. They had some ideas to build a mine at Abu Marwat, but the economics just didn't allow them, and they left. This was followed in the early 90s by Sami al-Raki with Centamin, and he, believed that in the real potential of the Eastern Desert geologically, and in those days picked up quite a bit of land in the Eastern Desert, including Sukari. And in 1995, really, the exploration got going. And through thick and thin, they stuck at it. And of course, the result is the Sukari mine today, which is a real testament to not just Sami, but also to the potential of Egypt. This was followed by, in the early 2000s, a shift. EMRA, as it is called today, was originally the Egyptian Geological Survey, and that was the second oldest geological survey in the world. This was followed by EXIMA, the Egyptian Geological Survey and Mining Authority, and up until the early 2000s came under the Ministry of Industry. It was then shifted to the Ministry of Petroleum, became EMRA, and in 2006, the first bid round for gold properties was held, and companies such as Atom Resources, SMW, Tani Dubai arrived on the scene and began work. And so from then until 2018, really 19, they worked away doing exploration. Aton now is really the last standing of those companies and has advanced exploration and has made some significant discoveries. But it really had been a moribund industry here. People didn't really care. They didn't. They weren't interested. They were skeptical of Egypt, and so it made it very difficult to get anything started here. Tariq Abdullah arrives on the scene, and as the Minister of Petroleum, realizes that although he didn't know anything about mining, he was a businessman. He spent his career at Chevron, and he realized that the huge potential of the mining industry, and began to work at looking at how that could be developed. And so off he went. They hired Wood Mackenzie to do some work, and they analyzed it, talked to people, looked at it. And out of that came probably the most significant development of all. And that was basically getting rid of the production sharing agreement and understanding going to a tax, rent, and royalty regime. And I think it cannot be understated what a huge development that was. And the fact that in a conference like today, you have as many people attending, as many sponsors as we have. The fact that in the first bid round, in addition to ACK, you had Barrick, B2 Gold, Centamin even came back for more exploration work, and then of course you have the juniors, the backbone of the industry, the the venture capital arm of the mining industry. And there you have companies like Lotus Gold, Eastern Desert, Ank Resources, Red Sea Resources. So a lot of interest out of juniors wanting to come here and and explore. So the opportunities that have happened over this time are huge, and the opportunity not just in the Eastern Desert, but the Sinai, the opportunity for minerals, not just gold. We have precious metals, gold, silver. We have base metals, copper, zinc, lead. We have those minerals that haven't even been explored to, possibly. I mean, we don't know. We have ones that have been mapped, like nickel and moly. We have, and then those that people think may be here and, should come and look for. So platinum group metals, possibly, lithium, possibly. So Egypt is geologically, when you look at it, is a bit of a Disney world. I mean, there is a lot of different types of geology here. We see it all the time. It runs from, VMS type deposits to, orogenic, structurally controlled. We even see intrusive type of geology like Fort Knox. We see IOCG type of geology. So, there is a lot of opportunity here, and there has not been any exploration. And this comes back to what Egypt is today. It's a blank sheet of paper for mining. They have set the original groundwork by getting rid of the production sharing agreement, but it still has a ways to go. You have the Eastern Desert, which is vastly underexplored. You have the fact that there is very limited data because what we have tends to go back a long time. So because there hasn't been a lot of modern exploration here, and then just setting up the structure of the industry. It's a blank sheet of paper. We've taken the first step. But there's obviously more to do. This is an oil understanding area, and to understand the necessities to attract investment and to bring investment to Egypt is something that everyone is climbing a learning curve. So it is a blank sheet of paper. It has an enormous amount of potential. And the fact of the matter is that we don't know what that potential could be. I hear people say, "Well, all the good places are gone, and there's so much." That's simply not true. You can't really say that because we don't really know. And I'll give one example, which is Aton Resources. Aton Resources identified a mountain. It had no name, and they decided to examine it after some satellite imagery. And they climbed this thing, and after using a bit of clever sort of detective work in the in the traditional vein of Indiana Jones, they got on top of this thing to find just honeycombed with ancient workings. It had been talked about. It had been talked about by Clem and Clem. It had been talked about by the Bedouin, this mountain of gold, but nobody had found it. And until Aton got on top of it, probably nobody had been up there for 1,500 years. And it had, it obviously was so extensive that it had, for maybe 1,000 years, thousands of workers, working on it, mining by hand. And that is what they now call Rod Ruin. And so, the potential is out there to make new discoveries. The potential is out there to make, exciting finds. And I think that this is one of the things that is so attractive about Egypt. Yes, it has to build the industry, But then again, that's just another adventure that everyone who wants to be involved can have a part in. And so the opportunities here, as I say, to take this blank sheet of paper and turn it into an industry, which I and many others here believe could be certainly larger than the oil and gas industry, and probably and even tourism is there. And therefore, when we talk about Egypt, even though it is an ancient land, it has an ancient mining industry. It has a long history of gold. Gold is, in the Egyptian DNA. Even if they don't know there's a gold industry here, even if they don't know the history of gold mining in Egypt, it still is in their DNA. And it's an important component to the Egyptian identity. So it is a place that that offers great opportunity. It's a place that offers exciting opportunities and adventure. And so for those of you who are already here, the pioneers, well done. For those of you who have just arrived, welcome. For those of you who are planning on or bidding in the second bid round, good luck, and I hope to welcome you. And for those of you who are thinking of coming, come. And I hope to see you here too. And so I'd like to end there. I would highly recommend for any of you who are interested in all of this to get Clem and Clem's book, Gold and Gold Mining in Ancient Egypt and Nubia. I think you'll find it a fascinating read. And as I say, I hope you will stop by our booth for Act Gold. And thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Mark. It was a great talk by you. We enjoyed it thoroughly, and I am sure the audience would have gained a lot from it. And the last message that you conveyed, welcoming the people who are looking forward to join and the people who are already working, you wish them well. So that's a great thing you did. Thank you so much, Mark. So moving ahead, our next presenter for the session is Ali El Shalakini. He is the senior partner at Shalakini. He would present about the recent legislative and policy developments in the mining sector of Egypt. So he has sent us a pre-recorded presentation. Let me just play it for you.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining from today. And wherever you are, I hope you're safe and in good health. My name is Ali Shalakani, and I'm going to be giving this presentation today, which will cover recent legislative and policy developments in the mining sector in Egypt. But before we get started, I'd just like to say that we're delighted to support the Egyptian International Mining Show, and would like to thank you for attending, and we'd like to give a special thanks for the TAB group for putting together this exciting conference. So without further ado, I'd like to get started. All right, so before we get into the meat of things, I'd like to give a brief introduction about our firm and who I am. So Shalakani is one of the leading corporate firms in Egypt and the MENA region. We've been around for quite some time, 1912 to be exact. And I think with 75 lawyers, including 8 partners, that makes us one of the larger firms in the region. We're a full practice firm. We provide all the support required by our corporate clients. We're very proud members of Lex Mundi, which is the largest network of independent firms globally. We are top ranked across all areas of practice by IFLR 1000, Legal 500, and all of the other international ranking firms. So about myself, I'm a senior partner. I work in the project development, project finance, and natural resources group of the firm. My sectors of focus include mining, of course, but also energy and infrastructure. So I specialize in pathfinder transactions, and again, I try to focus on emerging sectors. Now let's get into sort of the historical context of mining legislation and policy in Egypt. So as you can see, the start is, we've sort of had some historical challenges. So while Egypt's mineral wealth was always considered world-class, the country was lacking an internationally competitive mining policy that provides the right balance of economic returns to both the government and the investors. Companies continue to stay away from the Mines and Quarries Law issued in 1956, which was based on a production sharing arrangement that was not really appropriate for the mining sector. So under this old sort of 1956 law, the main obstacle facing mineral explorers is the inclusion of mining in the oil and gas legal framework. So although the oil and gas legal framework was and continues to be very successful for the oil and gas sector, the reality is that there are some nuances that differentiate those two areas. So they are both in the extractive industries, but the reality is that for mining, for example, it takes a lot longer for an asset to become productive, and therefore some of the models that might work for oil and gas, may not work well at all for mining, for example, and that proved to be the case, I think, with the lack of sort of real investment in mining in Egypt for the last few decades. And certainly not under this legal regime of the 1950s. Another issue that was problematic is that the old law also required that any license, whether for exploration or exploitation, required the license to be issued as a law. That can be quite problematic because it could take a very long time, and market dynamics can change dramatically in that period of time. So we're not talking about weeks. We're really talking, at the best of times, months for this to take place, and in some cases, years. So it really depends on the situation in the country at the time. If we zoom forward to 2014, I think under the leadership of the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Resources, there was a very clear vision to try to expand mining as a really proper sector and contributor to the Egyptian economy. And that sort of culminated in this law of 2014 and its executive regulations of 2015, which together are just commonly referred to as the mining law. And the mining law essentially replaced the old law of the 1950s. The mining law made some important changes, which can be summarized as introducing an application system whereby investors can apply to EMRA, which is the key stakeholder and regulatory body that regulates the space under the auspices of the Ministry of Petroleum and and natural resources. The application system meant that investors can apply to EMRA for a license to explore and exploit mineral resources. The law also provided for a 2-year exploration period, which can be extended by a further 2 years. The production sharing arrangement model was kept, but a further minimum tariff of 5% was also included without a cap. So the 5% is a minimum, there was no maximum. And the concept of a rental fee was also introduced, and there was an annual rental fee per square kilometer, that was introduced in that law, which would be reevaluated every 4 years. So building on these legislative reforms, in January of 2017, EMRA announced an international gold mining tender for exploring and extracting gold in 5 locations in the Eastern Desert and Sinai under a production sharing scheme. So unfortunately, the investors remained pretty critical, of the regime, the new framework due to a number of challenges. Mining companies active in Egypt and Africa said at the time that the exploration round, which offered 5 concessions, offered poor commercial terms. So the gold tender terms included a 6% royalty payment, only partial cost recovery before the start of the production sharing, and a number of bonus payments to EMRA. 50% of any gold revenues realized from the production of gold would be shared with the government. And the 3 main foreign or international mining companies operating in Egypt at the time basically announced on record that they would not be participating in this international round. So it wasn't considered very successful. As a result of that, the government, did take on board the comments of the investors. They decided to hire independent consultants, Wood Mackenzie, to audit the current legislation and make recommendations for policies that would encourage global investment in the mining industry. So very proactive, positive steps. And Wood Mackenzie completed their exercise in consultation with the private sector and the relevant stakeholders, and they identified sort of 4 key challenges, which is, the oil and gas style production sharing agreements, requiring exploration companies to acquire exploration ground before obtaining exploration licenses. Legislation was quite dated, and finally, lack of available and accessible information for investors, particularly sort of data packages and so on. So those were the 4 key challenges, and clearly the recommendation from Wood Mackenzie was to try to address those. Fortunately, the government did take on board all of the recommendations of the report, and there was an amendment to the mining law in August 2019, and the executive regulations that support that amendment were issued in January 2020. The main changes that occurred at that time were shifting from a production sharing agreement model to a royalty, rent, and tax model. The royalties would now vary between 5% and 20% of the raw production value. So, they did take on board the fact that there's now a cap of that royalty, and the minimum that was already there was maintained. The legislative changes also grant broad powers and discretion to EMRA in order to provide more flexibility to adapt to market conditions and require less amendments to primary legislation by Parliament, for example. So exploration licenses for precious metals and precious stones would be licensed by the Ministry of Petroleum without the need to issue a law. And exploration licenses for smaller mines, less than 1 square kilometer, could be licensed by EMRA's board directly, again without requiring the issuance of a law. As for the exploitation phase, quarries and mines and salt works up to sort of 16 square kilometers would be issued by the competent entity, which is EMRA, for mining. So that means, again, you don't need a special law, but you would need a law to be issued if we're talking about a larger mine for the exploitation license. So those are the main sort of changes that took place. We also have a very important amendment to the period of exploration. So mine exploration permits may now be extended by up to 6 years. So the way this works is that the initial period is 2 years. It can be extended by another 2 years, and finally by a further and final 2 years, providing that there is a technical justification submitted and approved by EMRA for these extensions. Last but not least, mining companies can enjoy all of the incentives and guarantees in the new investment law that was issued in 2017. So I don't want to get into the weeds here on sort of that suite of investment guarantees and incentives, but essentially, it protects against things like expropriation or license revocation, and it guarantees the ability to transfer profits overseas, facilitates things like being in the importation registry without having to adhere to any foreign shareholding minimum requirements or maximums, I should say. It also provides a larger quota in terms of the ability to hire foreign employees. And there's also a few exemptions when it comes to like sort of stamp duty tax and a few other types of taxation. And depending on the location of the project, if it's in one of the two identified zones in the investment law, there are potential sort of tax credits that may be applicable as well. So all of those things would be applicable to mining companies. So those were the key improvements. And as a result of those legislative reforms, there was the launch of the first international bid round for gold exploration. This took place on 15th of March 2020. So I think the timing wasn't ideal, if we're going to be honest, because for a lot of countries in our part of the world, this was kind of when the COVID crisis and pandemic really started to hit this part of the world. I know obviously it started earlier in Asia, but in Egypt specifically, and I think for a lot of the countries that we wanted to attract investors from in Europe and North America, March is kind of seen as the starting period. So it wasn't ideal. However, there was a lot of interest despite those challenges. Investors were invited to bid for exploration in the Eastern Desert for a very large area of covering 56,000 square kilometers using a block-based concession system, and each block would approximately be around 170 square kilometers each. Companies interested to submit would be required to submit technical and financial bids, which they did do. So it took a bit longer than anticipated to award those because of obviously of the pandemic. But I think I speak for everybody in the industry, but we were delighted with the results in November 2020. There was 11 mining companies were awarded 82 gold exploration blocks in the Eastern Desert, and those included actually 7 international mining companies, including some of the leading gold mining companies in the world. So, very successful as a matter of tender and award. the Minister of Petroleum and Mineral Resources, Engineer Tariq Mullah, stated at the time that the ministry would launch new exploration tenders every 4 months. And in fact, upon the announcement of the results of the first round, which happened in November 2020, immediately after that, the second international bid round for gold exploration was announced. And the deadline for application was, I believe, initially scheduled for the 15th of May, 2021, but that was an extension was provided until 30th of June, 2021, and in fact, that also the bids were submitted, and we understand that an announcement of awards will take place any moment now. So. We're all waiting with much anticipation. So last but not least, when it comes to sort of legislative changes, in July 2021, EMRA agreed to work with international mining companies who participated in the first bid round to develop a model exploitation license in order to provide clarity on the legal, tax, and investment framework that will be applied during the exploitation phase. So obviously we've worked out the kinks on the exploration, but clearly we need to also have visibility on the exploitation side of things. So EMRA's objective, which was announced publicly, is to develop this model exploitation license, and they also announced a number of bridge undertakings in order to progress this project. So in order to bridge the gap between exploration and exploitation, EMRA has announced that a 12-month negotiation period will be implemented from the time of the announcement, so July 2021 to July 2022. And that EMRA would negotiate in good faith in a single collaborative process with the first bid round mining companies in order to finalize the terms that will govern the legal, tax, and investment framework in respect of any commercial discovery and the mining projects resulting from the exploration phase. The terms of the model exploitation license shall be in a form which provides for economic and regulatory stability, which is fair and necessary. It would incorporate internationally accepted industry standards from model mining agreements from around the world, as well as precedents. And clearly we would address the process would address any other matters required to achieve these primary objectives. There's also a very clear timetable and structure for the negotiations. So the idea here is to avoid costly and time-consuming negotiations. So EMRA expects all of the first round successful bidders to act as one and to elect a pool of advisors, including things like legal, tax, etc. And essentially that team would represent the mining community, especially on the investment side. And the discussions would then take place in a collaborative process with EMRA to develop basically the template of the model exploitation license agreement. We understand that the selection of the advisory team is already underway, and I think all sides are hopeful to progress this as soon as possible. So the obligations following agreement of the model exploitation license is that EMRA would initial with all of the first round bidders, the document, and this will essentially indicate that this is now in final and agreed form. EMRA would then publish the document on its website, so that it's freely available to everybody, and therefore anybody bidding for any future blocks would know exactly what are the rules of engagement when it comes to the exploration phase, but also the exploitation phase. And EMRA would also undertake to work with Parliament to ensure that this standard form would be ratified by Parliament for any special law that would be required for an exploitation license after a commercial discovery, of course. So failing which, if any of these steps are not successfully concluded within the 12-month negotiating period, the exploration license holders will be entitled to terminate their exploration licenses without any penalties. So essentially, it gives all parties 12 months to really produce something that I think everybody wants, right? Something very, as I said, economic and regulatory, stable, transparent, so that we can really have a thriving mining sector. So that's it from my side. I hope I didn't take too much of your time, and I was able to give you sort of a quick overview of all of the legislative underpinnings in Egypt and the latest policy developments. We'd be very happy to support you with anything that you need. So, as you can see, that's my name, that's my email, and of course you can find all of these things on our website as well. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to meeting and collaborating with you soon.
Thank you so much, Ali. It was an explanatory presentation by you. And if anybody have any questions, if they can drop in the Q&A section on the right side of their screens. Also, Gold and Shalakani, they have their booths at the exhibition area. You can definitely go and visit them for further questions and discussions. Next in line, we have Mustafa Talat with us, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Gold Pyramid Group, and he would talk about the market entry and GPG support. Mustafa, the stage is yours. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to speak to all of you today, and thank you for joining the Egyptian International Mining Show, which we hope that will be a regular event that we can proceed on an annual basis. Today I'm going to share a presentation regarding how we can help in the market entry for the new players coming into the Egyptian mining sector based on the recent activities and increasing interest in Egypt's mining sector. I hope everyone can see my screen now. So,
yes.
First,
yes, we can see the screen.
Excellent. So first, I will give an introduction about Gold Pyramid Group and who we are. Gold Pyramid Group is a service company initiated in 2016 by a group of mining professionals. We all started our career path from Egypt at the Sukkari Gold Mine at Santaman, going through multiple projects and multiple commodities worldwide, and then we initiated the company in 2016 to be able to help in finding and developing the right opportunities for investors who are willing to come and invest in the Egyptian mining sector. Our mission is very simple. We need to always have a continuous support for the clients and the stakeholders and the sustainability of the industry in the country. Our vision is based on the guideline experience. GPG is aiming always to become one of the best in the Middle East mining service companies. Our values is based on the respect, professionalism, dedication, trust, and teamwork. We have a leadership strategies, which is showing that we are kind of a unique team available in serving you in Egypt. We are always trying to meet in the timelines based on our client needs and based on our service requirements to be the most efficient and using the right calibers in the national development sector in Egypt. Our personnel is our main asset, so we are always investing in our people and keep going in the humanity, and we believe in the humanity, ensuring our established human culture and environment. And our approach to the environment is we mean no harm, or we aim no harm for the environment of our local Eastern Desert while operating in the gold industry. The strength of GPG is coming from the teams. We are always trying like to identify ourselves as a team, because no one in the mining industry can work alone, and our team is always we are always trying to be talent acquiring for the right calibers available in Egypt to be able to serve the local and international companies with a strong background and strong experience. Our CSR is the long-term vision that we see at Gold Pyramid Group, that without building a strong relationship with the local communities in Egypt, you will not be able to operate efficiently and expand strongly in the ground operations. So we are always keen on having continuous CSR programs and continuous help and support for the local communities to be able to expand with a stronger base. And because the education is one of the key aspects of the caliber capacity building up in Egypt, Gold Pyramid Group since 2017 is the main sponsor for the Society of Mining and Metallurgy Engineering in Egypt. It started in 2017 from Suez University chapter, Faculty of Mining and Petroleum Engineering. Now, based on the uprising potential of Egypt, lots of people willing to participate in this industry and this sector, and GPG has been remarkably helping companies in the market entry as recognized as the partners for success. And in my next few slides, I will take you through how we can be your next partner of success. As we all have seen, because of the COVID pandemic impact in the prices of the gold worldwide, where it hits $2,000 for the first time ever, and the new mining reforms of Egypt at the same time increased the attractiveness and the potential for exploring the Eastern Desert. And the Egyptian Mineral Resource Authority already announced its first bid round in 2020, which was a very tough year for everyone. And I'm sure that if the pandemic was not there, we would have seen more participants joining the mining sector from the first bid round. So during 2017, there was a bid round for 5 blocks only, and 4 companies got awarded. In 2020, it's only 3 years time difference, but because of the third milestone achieved by changing the mining code from the production sharing agreement into rent, royalty, and tax, we got all surprised by the result of the first bid round by announcing 11 winning companies, including world-class mining companies and operation companies like Barrick, BT Gold, Santamin, Altus Strategies, junior mining companies, and the startup companies, which will actually contribute more in the developing of the mining sector, like Red Sea Resources and Lotus Gold Corporation. Based on this potential, lots of companies are interested in joining the industry. And why Egypt is attractive away from the new mining code itself. Egypt is driven by a vision of 2030, which is making all the government restless in developing and doing reforms and developing the infrastructure of Egypt, which is a key thing for the mining industry to have a well-developed infrastructure. So based on the activities that if any of you will come and visit Egypt anytime soon, maybe if you visit Egypt 5-6 years ago, you will really see that now it's changing into a new country, driven by ambitious president who want to really make effective changes for the economy. By identifying ourselves as partners for success, this comes with a history, and we've been helping local and international investors and companies to start up their businesses in Egypt in the gold mining sector in a very smooth way, actually. We have participated in 2017 bid round for Resolute Mining Limited, Australian mining company producing. We have participated in 2020 bid round for a new junior exploration company, Red Sea Resources, which I'm sure that Mr. Wayne Cushman, the president, will present in this session too. We have helped local investments like Reliance Mining, Moture Gold Mining, and United Gold Mining to start in the exploration business as a subcontractors for Shalatin Mining Company. And during the last 5 years, we have participated in 5 bid rounds, awarded 8 contracts for our clients with a total area of 4,600 square kilometers, and the total budgets that we submitted for our clients is equivalent to $25 million. How we do help the companies in the market entry during the bid round process, and what kind of services we do provide in the bid rounds. First thing that any company will need to know about where is the right area to select in the blocks that's offered or by the bid round or by EMRA. Based on our local knowledge and being existing and operating in Egypt, some of our teams have started in the gold exploration industries in 1997. So we have good exposure to the Eastern Desert, and as Mark highlighted in his presentation, some people may say that all the good areas are gone, and this is totally not true. The Eastern Desert is totally unexplored, underexplored, where lots of potential is there, but it just need how to do your due diligence to be able to find this. Gold Pyramid Group can always help in this. And also we can help in doing field reconnaissance visits for clients or companies who are interested to come in Egypt and they have some complications in traveling because of the pandemic, or they don't yet have teams on the ground and they need the help and the assistance on this side. So we are always providing this kind of service. While you are putting your bid documents for the Egyptian Mineral Resource Authorities, you need to put a technical presentation or a technical report about how you are going to do the exploration for the specific block that you are bidding for. Gold Pyramid Group can definitely help in preparations of the technical reports, financial budgets, because when you are submitting for the Mineral Resource Authorities, you will need to submit 2 envelopes. One will be the technical envelope and the second will be the financial envelope, which should include the budgets that you are going to spend during the first 2 years of exploration. Gold Pyramid Group can help in preparations of the budgets based on the latest market survey in Egypt. Some people who are operating in different regions in the world maybe can put mismatching budgets with the current local prices of operations of Egypt. So this is one of the key things that we are always keen to provide to our companies, and we are always open to give local administrative representation for dealing with the mineral resource authorities and dealing with all the relevant authorities that you will need to deal with during your bid round. What's after the bid round is quite interesting. Today, this is a new announcement that's the first time to be shown here for the Egyptian Mining Show. Now we have developed our services sector in the geological service to be into a partnership with the MSA Group Services. MSA is a South African leading provider of exploration, geology, mineral resource, and reserve estimations. The MSA was established in 1983 and have been serving international clients base in more than 40 countries. Now, for the first time, they are available in Egypt in a partnership with the Gold Pyramid Group, where we can help you in your exploration steps and filling the gaps which is a huge gap in Egypt for finding the experienced people because of the lack of the activities in the last decade or two. You will not find as much as you expect availability of well-trained and highly competent geologists in country. There are still few, but not even enough for one or two projects of this new market. So MSA GPG will be serving all the client needs in Egypt in the geological side based on the profile of services of the MSA group. So we are happy to announce this strategic partnership, and we hope that we find it useful for the clients in Egypt. Away from the geological services, we can always help you in your survey services required in your early stage of the exploration. You need to set up traverses in the ground, you need to make grids, you need to make topographic mapping. All this we can always help and support in providing the survey services through our expertise. And the most important service, as we can see it, for a newcomer to Egypt will be giving the supply chain management, including procure to pay within Egypt, providing all custom clearance and tax exemptions. This kind of service is excellent for companies who has no experience of operating in country like Egypt before or in the region before. This will be a cost saving and time saving for starting up your operations. In case you need to go need vehicles rentals, we can provide it for you. You need to make camp, we can provide it for you. You need to import machinery, you need to bring your geological tools to start operations. All these services we are providing and been already providing during the last 5 years for our clients with a history of success. A new company operating in Egypt may yet not know about the framework of how to go into the social insurance and how to do your labor law handling and recruitment ratio between the expatriates to the locals. In case you want to start your operation with 4 expatriates in country, this means that you need for each expatriate to hire 9 Egyptians. So for companies who want to operate in a less intense manpower, we can always help in providing them the manpower services. We can do the recruitment, we can do the contracting, we can do the payroll and administration. We can do the time attendance, performance management, training, and human resource and payroll systems. These are the focused services for the new players coming to Egypt, and meant to make my presentation only focused on the areas that will cover the startup of your business and the market entry. Still, our profile of services is full. We'll be more than happy to meet and greet anyone who is interested to know about our other and more of our services in our booth. And I would like to thank you, and Gold Pyramid Group is looking to be your next partner for success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mustafa. Thank you so much for your enlightening presentation. And the people who want to avail support from Gold Pyramid Group, they can always go and visit their booth at the exhibition area. So moving on, we have a very interesting speaker next in line with us, Malak Khalil. She is the senior associate at Ed0, which is Ragi Solomon and Partners. She will enlighten us about from the bidding process to the handover, the legal step plan for gold exploration in Egypt. Malak, the stage is yours now.
Thank you very much, Afshin, for the introduction. I'd like to first thank the TAB Group for organizing this very timely conference. I'm delighted to be part of this conversation and found the speeches so far from Mark, Ali, and Mustafa extremely enlightening and very comprehensive. And I'm looking forward to the other speakers. My name is Malak Khalil. As Afshin said, I'm a senior associate at Tsiro Raghi Sliman and Partners. We are a full-service law firm. I am personally duly qualified in Egypt and in England and Wales. I'm specialized in energy, natural resources, and environmental law. We've been heavily involved in the mining sector, and today I would like to discuss with you the step plan from the bidding process until land handover. What I'll try to do is really maybe combine what has been said by Mark, Mustafa, and Ali in terms of what, for an international investor looking to invest in Egypt, what is exactly the step plan that we need to follow in relation, of course, to the legislative and the regulatory framework. So let me share my screen. Here it is. Can you all see it? Afshin, can you see
we can see your
the
screen, Malak. Thanks.
Fantastic. So very briefly to start, as the previous speakers have highlighted, the investment environment in Egypt is quite attractive. We have government will to raise the GDP, the percentage of mining activities within the GDP to up to 5%, while at the moment it is pretty insignificant. We're talking about less than 0.5% of the GDP. One main pillar that is required in order to reach that amount of investment would be to amend the legislative framework and to make it appealing for investors. The legislative framework is important on many levels. First, of course, it creates a legislative context for mining investments. It specifies institutional roles. So as it was presented previously, specific role to EMRA, for example, that was clarified and highlighted in the new law and executive regulations. It addresses stakeholder concerns. And we've seen, again, with the shift from the old regime to the new regime obviously has addressed specific concerns that investors had. And it establishes a clear investment environment where an investor arrives in Egypt and knows what the step plan is. There is a little bit more visibility than was previously provided. I'm not going to cover the legislative framework in detail. It has already been done quite comprehensively. So we're moving from a production sharing agreement, a joint venture with the government, to the rent royalty system. Again, there's a cap on royalty, which we didn't have. So it goes up to 20% of annual production. And we have a new licensing regime where it is very clear which licenses are needed at which stage and with regards to which mineral, or the law as well covers quarries, but that is not what we will be discussing today. So the step plan. The step plan starts with an announcement from EMRA that they're opening a bid. And it ends, well, it doesn't end with the land handover, but for the sake of time today, I will be stopping at that point. Bid round is announced with specific details and specific requirements. We move on to the exploration license for those who are bid winners. I will be covering today general considerations and the main terms within the exploration license. Third comes the approvals. So the third and the fourth step can be done simultaneously because there's a set of approvals that we need to obtain after having won the bid round and having signed the exploration license. We'll have to as well establish a business structure in Egypt, and I'll get into that. And finally, landover takes place, land handover. So the bid round. The bid round is announced by EMRA. Most of the information is publicly available on both the ministry's website, the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Resources, and the website of EMRA. Among the information included at the announcement is the bidding period, the instructions about data package and data package purchase, which is required by every bidder, and the financial and technical requirements that are expected from the bidders. Very quickly, the technical package usually would include a bid bond, the financial and technical capabilities of the bidder, so past experience, not just of the shareholders, of the directors. In case an SPV is established to enter into the bid, the experience of the holding company or the shareholders in the holding company would also be taken into consideration. There's also a requirement to submit general corporate documentation, corporate registers, articles of association, identity documentation, etc. The commercial package will need to satisfy the fiscal parameters that are required in the license. I forgot to mention that with the announcement as well, the exploration license model and the exploitation license model are available. And so they include specific requirements in terms of fiscal parameters. The commercial package also needs to highlight the minimum exploration expenditure, and is usually accompanied by a letter of guarantee that represents a percentage of that exploration expenditure. During the past bid rounds, we've seen 10%. Of course, again, the commercial package will have to determine the royalty rate and the free carried interest. Moving on to the exploration license model. Now, we assume now that the bid has taken place and we've had many companies participate in the bid. EMRA then has a bidding committee that evaluates those bids according to the criteria that's required in the license and in the bid criteria that's provided publicly. And the winners are announced. When the winners are announced, there's a requirement to sign the exploration license model. There has been a lot of cooperation from EMRA when it came to negotiating specific terms of that exploration license. The general considerations in terms of licensing for gold exploration licenses are issued by the Minister of Petroleum. Their term is a term of 2 years. They can be renewed twice. So we're talking about three terms of 2 years. And there is a possibility for renewing it for a fourth period of 2 years again, but that is subject to EMRA's approval. That is with regards to the exploration license model. Moving on to the exploitation, and again here it's specifically with regards to gold exploitation, the license is issued so far by virtue of a special law and granted for up to 15 years. The main terms, as expected in a license, you'd have the term, the exploration area. Annual rental value will be included here. The annual rental value is already specified in the executive regulations, just like the royalty rates as well. So in the new executive regulations specify for each mineral or each ore, there's a specific percentage for royalty rates. There are also specific values for rental per square kilometer. The license moves on to discussing customs tax and insurance. We'll get back to that when we speak about investment incentives, general legal obligations, access to infrastructure, community development, and enhancement of capacity. There is an annual reporting requirement, as well as expected, the license covers assignment and termination. So at this point, when we do get our license and we've signed it, I know geologists are usually quite keen to start work, but the handover requires other specific procedures before we can do that. And those are the approvals and permits. The main approval that is needed after we obtain the exploration license, there are financial requirements as well, such as, for example, paying a 1-year rental value. Once this is done, the bidder, or now the licensee for exploration, will need to apply for specific approvals, such as the approval from the Ministry of Defense. And the licensee has to apply, has to submit an environmental impact assessment and await approval from the Ministry of Environment. There are also potentially additional approvals depending on the location of the area, such as areas that are close to archaeological sites or to major infrastructure. That would be, then at that point, the licensee would be required to obtain approvals and permits from other relevant authorities. And the question that we got, because obviously, as you can expect, it's a timely process. And the question we usually receive is there a way for us to visit the bid area? Because from the moment of the bid win until we obtain those approvals, it's quite a significant amount of time. And the what EMRA offers at this point is temporary land visits, or what they call desert passes. Desert passes are permits to access the land areas for a maximum period of 10 days. They can be taken 3 times, but none consecutively. And the requirements are quite clear and strict in terms of during those visits, no sampling is allowed, no photography is allowed. So it's basically just to go and visit the area and get a sense of where it is. Finally, and this last maybe permit is not required at this stage, but since we're talking about approvals and permits, expatriates in Egypt to start work will need to apply for work permits and potentially as well security approvals. So are we done? Can we start work? Unfortunately, I wish I could tell you yes, but not yet. As a general rule in Egypt, to be able to undertake any activity, you need to have legal presence. You need to establish an entity. The Egyptian legislative corporate landscape offers different corporate structures depending on investment needs. The most, common structures would be the joint stock company, limited liability company, potentially the branch as well of a foreign company. So what's the difference between those entities? Generally speaking, joint stock companies and LLCs are independent legal entities, meaning they benefit from the corporate veil. They are independent in terms of liabilities, while the branch of a foreign company is an extension of the foreign company. So any liability on the branch would fall back on the parent company. Now, during the last 2 bid rounds, the advice from EMRA was do establish branches of foreign companies. And that, of course, bears the question, why? Why a branch and not a company? So I'll just go back very quickly to the step plan to explain this. When we are in the bid round and that a foreign investor is investing here in Egypt, they usually would not want to go through the hassle of incorporating an Egyptian entity. So they usually here apply to the bid with either the parent company or an SPV. So the security checks that are done at this phase here are based on the information relating to the parent company. The exploration license is issued under the name of the parent company or the SPV. The approvals are issued in the name of that company as well. So if we arrive at this step here and we require or we request from EMRA to establish an independent corporate entity, they would need to go back and redo all the security approvals. We would need to assign the exploration license, which is a big hassle, as well as the approvals. So it's almost as if we are starting the process from the start. And that is the reason why EMRA advised companies in the last 2 bid rounds to incorporate branches, because it is an extension of the company that has entered the bid. Okay. A few considerations, and maybe we won't be able to cover everything today, but labor law considerations. That brings me back to an important point with regards to the legislative environment in Egypt. Egypt is quite different from other African countries that are known for their mining investments and mining potential in terms of the legislative environment. Historically, Egypt has very complex, very old laws, and very simple things can create unnecessary trouble. So I'm not advising you to have a lawyer because I'm a lawyer. I'm advising you to have a lawyer because you do need a lawyer. Labor law considerations are quite important, not only for foreigners, not only for expatriates, but also for Egyptians. And then, so you need to cover really the liabilities of the branch in terms of labor law considerations, whether you are dealing with expatriates or with Egyptian employees. Moving on to investment incentives. Now, the mining law under Article 5B specifically offers investment incentives to mining projects in Egypt, such as custom incentives, tax incentives, that are quite appealing, actually. The only issue that we're dealing with at the moment is that the implementation is not clear yet. So there's a bit of coordination between different authorities that's taking place in order to implement those investments to mining companies. Close, the handover. Once the approvals are done, once we have incorporated an entity that allows us to start work, then the handover can take place. The handover is the start of the term of the license. And that is also a common question that we received, because going back to the step plan, when we sign the license here, the expectation is usually that the term starts with the signing. But because EMRA and the ministry know that the approval phase is going to take quite a bit of time, they have agreed to start the term of the exploration license at handover. So we've got, I mean, it is quite a relief because those approvals can take time, and obviously if they were eating into the time of the license, that would have been quite problematic. After the handover, there are ongoing obligations, obviously payment obligations, rent and exploration costs and expenses, compliance with laws as expected. There's quite a stress on compliance with environmental laws. So when it comes to protection of water, air, land quality, protection of biodiversity, waste management possibly would apply more during the exploitation phase. But it is a topic that's actually, even within the licenses, quite detailed. And I think internationally there is a move towards sustainable mining. There's a move with the energy transition to make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes. State ownership of archaeological discoveries. We're in Egypt. Archaeological discoveries are probably more common than in other countries, and those have to be reported to EMRA. There's an obligation to optimize the recovery of minerals, and as well an obligation to develop local communities, invest in training and capacity enhancement. Finally, both the licenses, the mining law, the labor law, and specific labor legislation related to mining work stress on the obligation towards health and safety in the workplace. Thank you very much for your time, and please feel free to reach out. We have a booth and we'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malak, for a very interesting and informative presentation. I believe the steps were very clearly mentioned by you, and for extended support, you can always go meet Malak and her team at her exhibition booth in the booth area, exhibition area. Okay, so now we have a last speaker of this session, a very interesting one again, Wayne Kirschman. He is the president and founder of Red Sea Resources Limited. Wayne would talk about the opening opportunities in gold exploration in Egypt. Wayne, the stage is yours now. Wayne, are you with us? Please unmute yourself. Wayne, can you please unmute yourself? Hi, Wayne, are you with us? Do you have any difficulty joining in?
let's try this, Afshin. If Wine can see us or hear us, I request him to just quickly reboot or refresh the screen. I think that should bring him back. If he can hear us.
I'll try to get him on call, please.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think while we try to get Wine back, might take a minute or so. Well, I would really appreciate, and I'd like to share this with you that we have been, with the events for almost a decade now, traveling to different countries and, meeting different people. Uh, Going to virtual shows is obviously, a different thing altogether, and we also understand there might be technical challenges at different parts of the, the overall attendees or the our supporters for the event. And with all these events, we obviously try to use the best, resources or the best platforms that are available. But because a lot depends on the connectivity, internet, and all the people who are joining us, so at times I think there are certain challenges that come up. And on this, as I said, we really appreciate the patience and for you to understand that in the technical challenges might come up here and there. Well, Afshin, I think if Wyan is unable to join us now, what we can do is that we can move on to the next session, and maybe once he has a stable internet connection and he's able to join us back, we can then continue with this presentation. Is it okay?
Yeah, Wine is just trying. We'll just wait for a minute more for him, and then we will see what happens.
All right. Yes, sure. Meanwhile, Mark, if you are present here, there have been some questions in the audience. I think I'll be happy to share that, and either Mustafa or yourself, would you like to answer on that? One of the questions that was asked is that what is the exploitation period stipulated within the current law? Would you like to elaborate on that?
Sure, Dan.
Or any of this?
Yes, sure. So the exploitation license currently will be issued by virtue of a law. So it would be issued via, I think Wayne is here, via a special law. And for the moment, the term is 15 years.
Okay. I see. And I think the other by the same gentleman, any directions towards extending the 15 years exploitation period?
This is something that can be discussed with EMRA, but for now it is 15 years.
I understand that. All right. Thank you very much. Afshin, I think let's just move on to the next session then, and we'll continue post that.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being with us for the session 1 of Egypt International Mining Show. Now, I think we have Wine with us now.
Hello.
Hi, Wine. Hi.
Hello.
Please continue.
Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, can I start then?
Yes, now you can start.
Okay, well, sorry about the technical difficulty. It's about 2:40 a.m. Vancouver time, so I'm calling in the middle of the night here. But first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Wayne Koshman. I am the president and founder of Red Sea Resources. We're a Vancouver-based junior company, and today I'm going to be discussing a number of general points, which will include a short introduction in how we got to Egypt, why Egypt, why we decided to start there, and also a short overview of our Red Sea resource concessions that we won in the first bid round, and as well, what are some of the issues that we're seeing ongoing happening with being winners of the first bid round. And then finally, a short look at the future, what we see in Egypt, and how that is going to do for other miners as well as ourselves. I'd like to thank. I would like to thank the organizers of the event, TAB, as well as all the hard work that people like Mustafa from Gold Pyramid has put into this. I know that's been a lot of work. Well, my first journey started in Egypt in 2006. At that time, I was working in Tunisia, and myself and one of my general managers went to Egypt for some meetings with the petroleum minister. And I found it a beautiful country. The people were very intriguing. So when I had the opportunity to return back to Egypt in late 2018, I took the chance. And I first started working with an old partner with the Suez Canal Authority area and revitalization of the docks. And I found that one thing I encountered was that the Al-Sisi government was very strong in following through with what they have put out, and they put out something called the 2030 vision. And I was able to read it and review it, and I saw that everything that Al-Sisi and his government put in the vision, they were following through with it, with military preciseness and strategy. And I came across as well their firm belief on developing the mineral resources of Egypt, as it had been ignored for many years. And the biggest factor there was for the increase in the GDP for the country. And this is where they were fervently believed that they wanted to open up the market to new mining companies, and they felt that changing the PSA type agreements that they had previously into a tax royalty system would attract more companies back into investing in the mineral sector. They had done a very big push in reading this to the mining community, but at the time, there was biggest issue was, when was this new mining law going to be enacted? And there was three events that I believe that really set myself and Red Sea on the course on going into Egypt and participating in the first bid round. The first was I watched on CNBC Money in 2019 an interview with Najib Sawari, and during that time he mentioned the same issue we're talking about right now is when and if the Egyptian government would change the format of their PSA to a tax royalty system. And he mentioned that when they do that, he will fervently go back into the Egyptian market. And for those that don't know who Najib Sawiris is, he's one of the wealthiest men in Egypt, as well as a major supporter of gold. And he has very large holdings in several gold companies, including Endeavour Mining. The second point that got me to really believe in that the Egyptian government was ready to work with this new tax royalty system is when Endeavour Mining Capital took a hostile takeover bid of Centamin Mine in Egypt for $1.2 billion and it was rejected. So that really showed me that Sawiris and his companies were firmly believing that there was going to be change on the horizon, and that helped me a lot in pushing forward with promoting the mining sector in Egypt, in Vancouver, to my partners. And I guess the last thing to push me over the bridge to really believe that was going to get done was meeting with Mark Campbell on my birthday. I had the great pleasure of meeting Mark and his wife for dinner. I called him out of the blue when I was in Cairo and said I was lonely, and it was my birthday, so he invited me out. And Mark is one of the most knowledgeable expats in the business in Egypt, and I learned a lot from him. And so that's how I convinced myself, and then that brought me into starting Red Sea Resources. And before I get started with Red Sea Resources, I guess the biggest question is why Egypt? And I know that several of the session members had talked over several of these points, but I will go over them myself as well. First thing is the geology. We all know that the Eastern Desert is part of the Arab-Nubian Shield. It's a vast mineralization belt, greenstone belt. It hosts the Centamin mine, which is the third largest mine in Africa. And also we see countries such as Eritrea and Sudan, Ethiopia, the continuation of the gold belt. We've seen remarkable success in a country even like Sudan, where it went from I think ranked 14th or 15th 5 years ago in gold ounces mined to number 3 in Africa. And this is a country of very little infrastructure. So there's a lot of potential, and we see that the Eastern Desert is probably the last undeveloped greenstone belt in the world, so tremendous opportunity there. Number 2 is the stability and the law and order in Egypt. I find, having worked across the world in many different countries, I found that the government under al-Sisi it has remarkable drive and takes a lot of responsibility in helping its people and trying to grow its economy. I've never felt more safe in Cairo than anywhere else, and people are always friendly, willing to give you a hand, give you directions on the street. And it's the same thing with the government. Everyone's willing to listen and to help you and work together to get something accomplished. One of the real important factors that affected us in choosing our blocks as well was infrastructure. In the Eastern Desert, we have tremendous infrastructure there. There's a 4-lane national highway that stretches all along the Red Sea from north to south, as well as there's several international airports. And all of our projects are not too far away from major centers, sources of water, and other infrastructure such as roads. And one of the things that we do appreciate a lot here in Egypt is the workforce. Egyptians are very well educated, very earnest to learn. So far, we've had no problem on meeting many people within the industry wanting to work with us. So I think that the people and the skill of those people will really help us succeed as well. So just to give you a little information on Red Sea, we formed Red Sea, as I said, in late 2019. It's a Vancouver junior mining company. Vancouver is known as the junior mining capital of the world. When I was there looking for partners, I met a very seasoned group of individuals with a lot of African experience. The group came in threes. Was Alan Fabro. He's our CEO, and a lot of experience in the capital markets. Also Robert Sipthroat. Many geologists would know him, as he's been in the industry a long time, had made some very good discovery during his tenure. He was a founder of Rocks Gold, which was recently sold for over $1 billion. And also Matt McKenzie. Matt McKenzie keeps the wheels churning here at Red Sea with all the legal and corporate experience that he has learned over the years. We made our first bid round application, as did all the other companies, in 2020, and we were awarded 3 blocks consisting of 753 square kilometers of land, and it was basically split up over north, central, and southern parts of the Eastern Desert. And we did this for reasons that we found that these properties that we picked had a very good history of historical mining. The geology was all there, and the 3 blocks are, the first block is that we want is Samara, and everything is on. You'll see on my speeches on the PowerPoint that you can go to our booth and pick up as an attachment. But our we have 3 blocks. The Samara block, which is the most northern part and is near. The Wadi Aruf is most northern block, and it is near Hurghada, just directly west of Hurghada. Then we have Samra, which is directly west of Mursa Alam, and then our final block, Wadi Qada, is the most southern block near the town of Shalatin. As we all know, all these properties have never had any drill work done on them. Most of the work was done by our artisanal miners and Roman and pre-Roman mining. So we don't really have a lot of technical data on these properties, but all the properties have shown very good showings of good gold systems, and also the artisanal miners are all over our property. So we definitely know that there is gold there. We just need to get on the ground and work the properties. One of the things that I think we are doing slightly different than some of the other bid winners is we've purchased our own capital equipment. and it'll be arriving in Egypt sometime in the next month or two. And the reason why we chose that is we wanted to take on the cost, because we know we're serious and we'll be there for a while. And not only that, we have purchased a portable rig, which is basically would alleviate the necessity for road building, which is one of the big cost factors in bringing drills to mobilization and to the drill site. So having a portable rig that can be broken down and can be carried by men is very advantageous to us. I think it's going to take a lot of time and cost away from just building the roads and getting infrastructure in, and as well, it's going to allow us to mob and demob very quickly on each hole. And I think that Robert's motto, our VP Geology, is drill it or kill it. So I think that we'd be able to have rapid results using the portable system. And we also have a RAB drill system as well. Well, I guess what one of the things that all the bid winners are dealing with now, and Malik had touched on some of those areas, is us as being the first people in, the first winners. There's a lot of issues that we ordinarily might not deal with in some other countries, but in Egypt, it's new for all of us, including the ministry and EMRA. So one thing you definitely need is patience, and and we've been fortunate to have a very good experience with both the ministry and EMRA. They're trying to work with us, and patience is the most important thing in I think what Red Sea has had to do over the last 6-7 months, up until the time from the time we got awardment and until we received our license. One of the issues that we're dealing with as a new company here, along with companies like Barrick and B2 Gold and AKH, is how we will be moving from exploration to exploitation license model. And EMRA has put together a working group that all the bid winners will participate in. So that's a very positive and progressive step that EMRA has taken, so we can all work together and see how we will make those changes, such that we can have a smooth transition from the time of commercial discovery into the exploitation phase. One of the issues that everyone here also will be looking at is the issues of tax and customs, bringing in your own equipment. There's issues to that, so I just recommend that you have a good accounting firm and a law firm that will help you go through the processes, or somebody like a Gold Pyramid Group, which has a logistics section within their group to assist companies like ourselves. One of the things that we all have to be aware of working in Egypt is the labor laws and how that affects the mining exploration companies. One thing that the Egypt really wants to push is the using of their skilled labor force. They have a 9-to-1 ratio of 9 Egyptians per 1 expat. So that tells you that they really want to have their local talent work with us. So we're more than happy to do that, and we're just waiting for our final incorporation, and we will be able to start a hiring program probably in the near future, in the next few months. Also, one thing that we've had to deal with, and I'm sure that all the other bid winners will deal with, is the local communities, particularly the Bedouin communities that live in the region. And we've had nothing but good things to dealing with them, but it's also very important that you make yourself known to the local Bedouin chief and local communities. Tell them what you're doing, and get them some way involved in your exploration program, if that's being drivers or security. It's always very, very helpful to use the local community in that area. Finally, the future of mining in Egypt. I see a very bright future for the country. I see it's just at the infancy of growing. As we had discussed, there's over 56,000 square kilometers in the eastern desert, and we've only started to begin investigating these blocks, as well as we have cyanide. And so we see ourselves, Red Sea, to continue in the future. Matter of fact, we did submit applications for the second bid round. So we are very firmly want to be here in Egypt, and work in Egypt, and work with the ministry in EMRA. Also, not only in the gold sector, we see some huge potential for copper and other base metals like zinc and iron. There's large deposits of phosphate, tantalum. So as this sector grows, we're going to see it grow very quickly over the next 3 to 5 years. The goal here, I think, is to increase the jobs in these areas, increase employment, and all this will come in time. And I think that Egypt will become one of the leading gold producers in Africa. And I'm pretty sure that there's a few more Sakari mines to be found in Egypt. I hope that our team can be one of those lucky exploration companies. I know companies like Barrick and B2 Gold, which two of our properties are butting up next to. They're here. I think that they see the potential in the future for the Egyptian gold industry, or they wouldn't be here. So and finally, I would just thank everyone that is watching my speech. If anyone has any questions or would like to have a meeting with me, just drop by the booth. We have a PowerPoint there, some photographs. Just drop me a line, and I look forward to seeing you online and hopefully face-to-face in the future. Thank you very much, and all of us at Red Sea Resources say have a good day and good night.
Thank you so much, Wayne. It was a very engaging talk by you. Again, because we are running short of the time for the next session, we will quickly move from here, and we will join the next session. All the audience are requested to join the next session, and they can meet Wayne at his Red Sea Resources booth in the exhibition area for further discussions. Thank you so much, one and all. Now, see you in the next session. Thank you.